Would you like some Memory Palace training exercises? Well, I've got 4 for you in this video, courtesy of magneticmemorymethod.com. My name's Anthony Metivier. This video is for you if you want to use memory palaces faster and easier. You want to memorize more information, and you want that memorized information to last longer. I'm talking about duration, not memory champion kind of stuff where you forget it all 20 seconds after the competition, but you have it for life and it turns into knowledge. Also, this is for you if you're not lazy, an excuse maker, or unwilling to try new things. You know what? If you are, maybe we can turn you around. So I'd love the opportunity to do that. So if you're ready, hit that thumbs up button and let's go. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, hit the subscribe button, and I'd love to meet you on a future live session. When we go live, those are always a lot of fun. Hear your questions, hear what you're doing, and just generally get you involved in this wonderful world of memory improvement. So in my view, the only 4 Memory Palace exercises that you really need for your training is the cure. It'll help you remember more, faster, and retain it for longer. Now, I put this acronym together for you because we remember things better by acronyms, and that's just a general principle for you in your life, is to make acronyms out of things when there are a number of principles. See if you can order them alphabetically to help you remember things. And here we're talking about the cure for forgetfulness, but also the cure for Memory Palace training. So the C, it stands for create. Create memory palaces. Now, you might have watched me before and said, Anthony, come on. You're talking about creating memory palaces a million zillion times. Look, do not ignore this powerful exercise. You would not be a master baker if you baked 1 loaf of bread, would you? No, of course not. You got to make dozens and dozens and dozens of loaves of breads before you're a master maker. You know, it's the way it is. I'm sorry, but it's just a rule of reality, right? And when you go to the gym and you see these really buff dudes and ladies, and they're lifting these tiny little weights, what are they doing? They're going for the micro tears in the muscles, right? So they're lifting less than they can, really, in order to just optimize every part of the system. Same thing here. So do not ignore the fundamentals, and make sure that you've created multiple memory palaces and that you continue creating them so that you get the most out of your spatial memory. And then when you use some of the other things we'll talk about, you're associating it on the basis of a very profound understanding of your spatial memory and how it works for location-based mnemonics, which is the more formal and less sexy word than memory palace or mind palace or Roman room or whatever you want to call the journey technique. I mean, I like to call it the magnetic memory palace, because if we do it right and we get it right, then the information lasts for a much longer time. The second thing, of course, is the U in the cure, which is to use your memory palaces. I can't tell you the amount of people who send me their memory palace drawings, and I'm always grateful every single time, and then they come back and they say, well, it's not working. And I say, well, are you using your memory palaces? And they say, no. And well, how's that going to work out? You know, you got to train with the memory palaces that you create. You haven't really even broken the memory palace in if you don't use it. And of course, you want to use it strategically. So you want to do it in a way that is time-based in the training context. So that means set a clock, settle in with that memory palace, and focus during that time. Just be there with it. So you can do it with a deck of cards, you can do it with a vocabulary list, you can do it with a bunch of numbers and the major method to help you, or the major system. You can do it with facts from history that include both words and numbers. You can do it with lines of poetry. You can test yourself in many, many different ways, and you might want to be strategic about that. But set a time so that you're able to actually train. Training is something that is not only timed, but it's also something that's measured. So you want to track your results. Look, you cannot manage what you can't measure, and if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. Those are 2 very powerful quotes worth memorizing from a guy named Peter Drucker. And consistent documentation leads to consistent growth. So think of the artist's sketchbook, right? So artists, they like to have these sketchbooks, and it's not just because they need to draw, to practice drawing and get better at drawing, but they actually can look back at the past, where they've been, and imagine the future where they want to go, right? And get better at certain skills. So they're drawing circles and squares over and over and over again, and they actually keep themselves motivated and going and learning about the technique itself by looking back at the territory that they've already covered. Same thing in memory palace training. So the exercise is to use the memory palaces, but to use them really intelligently and strategically, and by tracking what you're doing so you can look back and, don't put a burden on your memory trying to remember, oh, how was it yesterday? No. Same thing when I go to the gym. I track everything. I could memorize how many kilograms that I am bench pressing, but that's not really the best possible use of my memory. It would be a cool memory exercise, but I'd rather just actually have the tracking effect of being able to see the past right in front of my eyes, see the accumulation of data, and see the growth over time, not only physically, but as it translates into numbers on the page. It's really, really powerful. Do it. So the next thing, number 3, right? So we've got create memory palaces, use memory palaces. Our R is rack 'em and stack 'em. So we're going to have magnetic imagery inside of our memory palaces, and we're going to make sure that they're racked and stacked. So that means striking, dynamic visualizations that connect with information you already know. You don't want to be vague. You don't want to be abstract. You want to really get down to the nitty-gritty and make sure that you're hitting this right every time. Train this strategically, and think of these images as big, bright, and zany. And you don't have to see them in your mind if you're not particularly visual. You can feel it, you can smell it, you can think about it. You got all kinds of things to really, really help you. Movement, energy, action with reaction, really powerful stuff. And then you link the magnetic images with magnetic stations in your memory palaces, or you create them right there. And as an additional tip, if you really want, get out a pen and draw the magnetic imagery and mentally think of where it is in the memory palace as you go. This is related to a can't miss formula that I came up with recently that's in the Magnetic Memory Method Masterclass, and some people are getting great results with that. And so it's a little bit of a combination of mind mapping with memory palaces, and that's another way to train, is to really externalize and to get a better sense of visuality. And it's well worth it. Just put on a clock and say, I'm going to draw just 1 even of the magnetic images that I put in my memory palace after your training is over. And that can be like a little creative cool down exercise after your training session. Now, the 4th thing is the E in our cure, and that's explain it all to your brain. Well, what does that mean? Well, we just don't want to just memorize stuff, right? We want to actually go through it. And there's a process called recall rehearsal, which enables us to strategically go through the memory palaces in different orders, different patterns, in order to actually get past the forgetting curve and use serial positioning inside of our minds without spaced repetition software or any of that stuff, just purely mentally, which is how we get the best possible memory training, and we explain to our brains what's there. So what I mean is, hey, there was this big red rubber band, and there was this gong, and there were some sheep coming out of an office, and that helps me remember the sound and the meaning of a particular Chinese word and the tones as it happens, because there's an image I haven't drawn here that reminded me of the tones when I was learning this word. And then, of course, another part of explaining in the case of language learning is then you want to actually get that information into use. So that means speaking, writing, listening, and reading as much as possible. So again, the only 4 memory palace exercises you need, as far as I'm concerned, to really train with this technique is the cure. So create the memory palaces, use them, make sure that you rack them and stack them inside of those memory palaces in the best possible ways, and then explain to your brain what you did. And you'll remember so much more, so much faster every time you sit down to use this technique. And you may even find that you're remembering more faster without using it, although don't get too confident. Use the techniques, because you don't want to wind up being frustrated when you forget something. This is a tool. It's there for you. Use it. So here's the thing. If there is a magic bullet, the magnetic memory method cure that you just learned is that bullet. So make sure you bookmark this video. You come back to it when you want to refresh what these techniques are and how to train your memory palaces. And if you don't know how to make a memory palace, let me give you an unfair advantage. For many, many years now, going on 6 years, I have been helping people through this free memory kit. I'd love for you to have it. If you don't have it already, you'll see a link on the screen or down in the description below, and that'll take you to magneticmemorymethod.com/YT, which is my special YouTube link for YouTube people. And I really, really would be delighted if you take this free training. It'll show you how to make a memory palace and just dive into this. And you'll notice that it looks a little bit different, and I've never updated this video because thousands and thousands of people continue getting amazing results. And so if it ain't broken, why fix it? And we might update it at some point, but in any case, it's a video that is just the internet gives it a licking, but it keeps on ticking. So let's put it that way. And I'd love for you to have it. It's a training that will walk you through how to make memory palaces and how to use them in greater detail than what we've been able to talk about today. And I know that there's a lot of entrepreneurs that watch my videos and just busy people who just want to dive in. They know I've got the Magnetic Memory Method Masterclass, and so if you're interested in that, it's got suggested training schedules based on a 3-day model. It's action-packed, self-paced, learn by doing videos that give you this information and how to really create plans for creating memory palaces and improving as you grow, and actually has the plans that you can use and refer to in many formats, video, and there's some worksheets that come with it, and exercises and audio, and it's a full university training level for memory. And basically you get step-by-step demonstration videos. There's an FAQ tutorial section there, application courses that show you how it all applies to vocabulary, to numbers, to names, verbatim information, etc. It's only for people who are serious, though. You got to really want to dramatically improve your memory for topic mastery, and I'm talking about language learning, self-development. You're willing to put in the time and do the work. And, I don't like to use the word work because it's not work to me. It's just so much fun, and I love it. And I know that a lot of people, when they can just understand that feeling of work is your insular cortex in your brain creating that. And, I teach in this masterclass how to get that stuff out of your system so that when you do feel, oh, this is so much, you know how to get past that, right? So it starts, though, with being willing and able to take responsibility for your own success. And look, I've had many challenges, too, in my life. I still do. And I overcome every problem. I find a way. So there's really no excuses. And what's covered is basically all in a comprehensive central hub course called the Master Plan. And it's got how to create an effective memory palace, how to use memory palaces, how to memorize any book that you read realistically, how to quickly and easily recall the stored information. It's got common questions answered. There's advanced memory palace techniques for when you are ready to go to the next level, a recap and a review. And then, of course, the Masterclass has all the special next level bonus courses. So how to memorize vocabulary, names and faces, numbers and equations, poetry and speeches, how to memorize a deck of cards, and there are demonstration courses. And you're also getting the vocabulary builder, so you don't have to mess around looking for what you're going to memorize when you're learning a language, and even where to go when you do. There's training on that. You get the worksheets and exercises. There's ebook versions of the course, lifetime access to course updates, invaluable community support. And then, of course, you have customer service in case you have any questions whatsoever. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Anthony Metivier, and I'm maybe a little bit rough around the edges here and there. We're doing gradual improvement, just as I would suggest you do gradual improvement in your memory palace training. And I've been so blessed to have people like Barbara OAKLEY actually read my books and get an advantage from them, which I was so delighted to learn about. And so she was kind enough to share some words about that. And then Alex Mullen, of course, who 3 times has taken the World Memory Championships by storm. And we've had a chat or two, and he's a really nice guy and was also kind enough to share his thoughts about the work that I'm doing out in the world. And then, of course, Tony BUZAN gave me the Warrior of the Mind for outstanding contributions to global mental literacy emblem, and that's cool. If you know the book Moonwalking with Einstein, it's mentioned there, and I was totally astonished when that was given to me. So wonderful stuff. Well, enough about me. Basically, if you want more information about either the free training or the full masterclass, use the links below and on the screen to explore your options. You can subscribe to this channel if you aren't already. Explore the back catalog. There's like more than 300 videos. As I mentioned before, we got continual improvement. I specialize in teaching memory techniques, not necessarily in making videos and stuff, but I'm getting better and better and starting to really pop with that skill. And part of it has to do with being able to memorize things like the size of YouTube thumbnails and so on. So that's a lot of fun. You can also get hooked up with the Magnetic Memory Method podcast and the blog if you like long form audio and text, which I hope that you do, and hit the like button. Leave a comment. Let me know that you're on board to improve your memory, because my magnetic memory mission is to dramatically improve your memory. So I'd love to match PewDiePie's subs for all memory trainers, not just myself, but there are other people out there who train memory. And if we could get as many subscribers on YouTube combined as he has for his stuff. And I love his stuff, so I'm not trouncing on it, but as far as I know, he's got the most subs in the world. If we could do that for memory trainers, we would see a much better world very, very quickly, because knowledge is the path to improvement. And I want to stay true in that to the Magnetic Memory Method Creed, which you can learn about elsewhere, while contributing to online education to make sure that people can actually learn in the age of digital amnesia that may be causing digital dementia. So we got to really get together and make this happen. And I want to help put systems in place to help billions of people learn better and keep the tradition of mnemonics alive and thriving. So if that sounds good to you, get involved in whatever way is right for you. And until we have a chance to speak again, keep yourself magnetic.